The rebel's twilight dream. Deep in the labyrinth of Luzon's jungle, where the trees stood like ancient sentinels and the vines whispered forgotten names, a man lay hidden beneath the canopy of emerald leaves. His name was Amado, and once, not so long ago, his heart beat fervently for the cause of the people. A red banner had flown proudly in his mind, inscribed with words of revolution, liberation, and sacrifice. He believed in them, not just as slogans, but as eternal truths, destined to cleanse his homeland of its tormentors. But time, like a slow poison, had seeped into his veins. Each battle became harder to justify, every dead comrade became another echo in the vast silence of the forest. The faces of those he had sworn to protect faded into phantoms. Was it hunger or fatigue that caused him to waver, or was it the whispering doubts that grew louder with each passing day? Tonight, Amado lay among the roots of a great bolete tree, its twisted branches stretching toward the heavens as if pleading for redemption. His rifle was cradled in his arms, though he no longer felt its weight as he once did. His body ached and his soul sagged with an unbearable weariness. He closed his eyes, just for a moment, to forget the endless cycle of violence, to forget the faces of those he'd killed and the ones who would soon come for him. Somewhere between wakefulness and sleep, he felt a shift in the air. A cool breeze, unlike the heavy tropical humidity, brushed his skin. When he opened his eyes again, the jungle had changed. The night was no longer black, but instead shone with an ethereal glow. The shadows of trees danced as if alive, moving in rhythm to a song only they could hear. From the depths of this dreamscape, a figure emerged, graceful and slow, like a leaf gliding through the wind. She was a woman, though unlike any he had ever seen. Her skin was the color of dark earth, her eyes deep as the hidden pools in the forest, and her body clothed in the vibrant greens and browns of jungle leaves. Flowers wove through her hair, and as she walked, the forest seemed to part before her, each step gentle and sure, as though the earth itself welcomed her presence. She approached Amado with an expression both serene and knowing. Without a word, she extended her hand, an invitation that felt at once inevitable and unfathomable. He stared at it, his heart pounding in his chest. "Who are you?" he asked, though his voice was barely more than a whisper. I am of this land," she said softly, her voice like the rustling of the trees. Come with me, Amado. You have fought long enough." He wanted to ask how she knew his name, but something deeper within him already understood. Her voice was not strange to him, it was as if he had been hearing it his whole life in the murmurs of the jungle, in the rain tapping on the tin roofs of forgotten villages. Still, something tugged at him, something tethered to the man he had been. "Where are we going?" he asked, his voice thick with exhaustion. "And why should I abandon the fight? This is the only way to love my country." The woman smiled, a sad and gentle curve of her lips, as though she had heard the same question many times before. "There are many ways to love your country, Amado. Some are quieter, some are unseen. You have fought bravely, but you have given enough. Come with me, and you will see." He felt the weight of her words, but still, the fire in his chest flickered one last time. "I can't leave them. The cause? It's the only way. It's what we've bled for." The woman knelt beside him, her gaze never leaving his. "The trees do not fight, and yet they live longer than empires. The rivers do not struggle, and yet they carve their way through mountains. The earth loves its people, but it does not need war. You are a part of this land, Amado, as much as the trees, the rivers, and the soil beneath your feet. You have done what you believed was right, but now it is time to rest." Amado's hand, still gripping the rifle, trembled. He had once believed that this was the only way to change things, that his sacrifice would mean something. But now, he could not remember the faces of the villagers he had sworn to protect. Their voices had become faint memories, drowned in the chaos of gunfire and the suffocating heat of endless marches. He looked at the woman again, her hand still outstretched. He felt a strange calm begin to settle over him, like the peace that came after a storm had swept away everything in its path. "But what will become of the fight?" he asked, his voice almost pleading now, as if he were searching for permission to let go. "The fight will go on," she said gently, "as it always does, with or without you. And one day, perhaps, this land will know peace. But you have given all that you can. There is no shame in resting now." Amado closed his eyes. He thought of the comrades he had lost, the ideals they had clung to in the face of overwhelming odds. He had wanted to be a hero, to leave behind a legacy that would outlast him. But now, lying there beneath the bolete tree, he wasn't sure what that legacy would be. Perhaps it was enough just to have tried, just to have loved his country in the only way he knew how. Slowly he released his grip on the rifle. The jungle around him seemed to exhale, as if relieved by his decision. He reached out and took the woman's hand. Her touch was cool and firm, and as she helped him to his feet, the forest around them shimmered. The trees blurred, their outlines fading into a soft glow. The sky above them rippled, and the ground beneath his feet felt less solid with each step they took. "Where are we going?" he asked once more, but the question no longer carried the weight of before. It was as if he already knew the answer. "Home," the woman said simply. Together, they walked into the heart of the jungle, the sounds of the forest growing quieter with each passing moment. The trees swayed in a slow, mournful rhythm, and the moon, high above, watched in silence. And then, suddenly it all dissolved. Amado's legs gave way, and he crumpled to the ground. His vision cleared, the dreamlike haze lifting, and the sharp reality of the jungle snapped back into focus. He was lying beneath the bolete tree once more, but this time, there was no ethereal woman. No soothing voice. Only the taste of blood in his mouth and the searing pain in his chest. He looked down and saw the crimson stain spreading across his shirt, the bullet wound he hadn't noticed until now. The encounter with the army had been brief but fatal. His comrades had scattered into the night and he had fallen behind. As he lay there, his life ebbing away, he realized that the woman had been no mere dream. She had come for him as she had come for so many others before him. The angel of death, clothed in the very land he had fought for, had led him to his final rest. Amado closed his eyes, his breath shallow and ragged. The jungle around him seemed to lean in, as if to cradle him in his last moments. His blood soaked into the soil, becoming one with the earth, a final offering to the country he had loved so fiercely. And in the distance, beyond the reach of his fading consciousness, the leaves whispered their ancient song, carrying his soul away on the wind.